2 years ago, almost to the day, yesterday, technically speaking, I moved to York. I moved from East Berlin, which is a very picturesque little town right across the county line in Adams, where if you didn't play the same sport that your daddy and his daddy and his daddy did, then you don't have friends in this town and your children might as well grow up as pariahs, which mine were doing. And I also managed to escape an absolutely horrible marriage, go me. In the process, which is not the purpose of this story even slightly. No, this is what happens when you move to a new city that you've been working in for the last, at that point, 8 years, now 10. I'm a teacher over at the high school right over here. And you realize you're free and you're single for the first time in 17 years, and you're 40. And you're 40, and you're 40 pounds heavier than you were the last time you dated, and dear God, I don't know how to do this anymore. And there is this boy, man, really, because let's be honest, I'm 40, and he's 30-something, hopefully close to 40. I really wasn't quite sure until much later. Then I said, bullet dodged, which is the point of this story. And this very gorgeous man, we're going to call him Johnny Bravo because he does live and work in the city of York, and I'm not trying to out anybody with my own tales. Johnny Bravo is a very handsome man who also happens to be going through his own heartache, and we were commiserating the last couple of months of the school year, talking to each other, mostly through our phones, because that's how young people do, I suppose. So that's what we did, and I'm a sucker for words, especially the written word. So I'm falling for this man. I keep thinking of him as a boy in my head, because I look at him and I go, aw, because I'm a mom, and that's just my natural MO at this point, 40. I look at him and I'm just like, I could try this again. I could jump back on the horse. I could do this. I have no idea what I'm doing. A friend of mine who lives up the way has a son who is in a band, absolutely fantastic local band, Lady King and the Aces. Go see them, they're great. And her son's band is going to be playing at a bar in Lancaster County. Hell in a Bucket is the name of this bar. I didn't know that until much later, and that is important to this story. And as I'm getting ready to go, I realize that Johnny Bravo has agreed to also come to the bar to watch the band. And I'm like, oh, that's exciting. And my bestie down here has also agreed to come and watch the band. And there's a whole bunch of us going. So now we need multiple cars. And I volunteer to drive as tribute because I haven't done this in a really long time. And if alcohol gets into the mix, it's not going to go well. I'm going to foreshadow this and say it did not go well. But it had nothing to do with alcohol. It has everything to do with the fact that at 40 and having not done this in a very long time, I have no idea what to wear that is flattering, and I am a classic overdoer when it comes to my clothes. I'm a clothes horse. I have multiple closets and multiple dressers, and having to part with one to give to my son when we moved was like breaking my heart, but I did it because I'm strong. And I'm asking my friend, what do I wear? What do I wear? And what I get is, show off your best attribute. Thanks, Mom, for these, because I got them natural. And I'm thinking to myself, I still have those fashion corsets that I bought 10, 15 years ago when, before I had kids, and they looked really good. I could totally squeeze myself like a sausage in a casing, way too tight, into one of those. It'll look great, right? So I put on a pair of jeans and a cute pair of boots, and I put on the corset, and then I'm looking at it going, they look awesome. These pants ain't doing it. So I've got this black, very nice, fancy, it's got applique and such corset on it, boobs to my chin, and I switch out into these very gorgeous palazzo pants. Well, they're very long and they touch the ground, they're very baggy, so I've got to wear heels with them. So what do I grab? But the sluttiest pair of 5-inch, 2-inch platform heels that I wore back in my 20s, the early 2000s where we wore real stupid stuff to the club. That's what I put on because I have common sense and I have 2 kids, so my feet are like a half size wider than they used to be. You know where this is going, right? It's not comfortable. Again, the name of this bar is Hell in a Bucket. I'm wearing a corset, palazzo pants, stiletto heels, and I teased my hair higher to God than I ever thought possible with a whole lot of hairspray. And I walk down the stairs, and there's my bestie, and there's Johnny Bravo, and of course, Johnny Bravo zeroes on exactly what I wanted him to. Yes, great success. And my bestie looks at me and goes, the name of this bar is, and I'm like, oh. By this point, we do not have time to change. We're going to the bar. It is exactly what you would think it would be with a name like Hell in a Bucket. It's on a side road in a side town off of some side highway that is not Route 30 in Lancaster County somewhere. And there's a railroad track on one side of it. That's going to come into play here in a second. And then there's the little bar. And we go into the bar, and I'm sucked and tucked and pushed up in this corset, and I'm trying very hard to walk and breathe, which is very hard to do when you're 40 in a corset. And Johnny Bravo is staring where I want him to. Great. And we sit and we watch the band, and it's awesome. We love the band. I get up to like use the ladies and bang into things with my bosoms. We go outside to take a break. There's railroad tracks. My feet are killing me. I take my shoes off outside. Mind you, I haven't had a drop to drink, but they're killing me. And we all get the great idea. Let's go walk along the railroad tracks. Barefoot. Because it took my heels off. Ouch. We come back down because a train, of course, comes at that moment. Now I'm running down railroad tracks to scurry down this little embankment, get back into the bar, go to put my shoes on. I can't. And I need to use the bathroom. And it is at this point that I realize dating in my 40s may not actually be for me. And I may have overdone it ever so slightly. Needless to say, Johnny Bravo didn't last even the entirety of the summer before we essentially ghosted each other. And you know what? My feet are so thankful that I don't have to do that again. Thank you very much.